and welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. President Gele participates in the 15th International Conference to combat desertification and drought in Ivory Coast, COP15 Cement. And on the international scene in Ukraine, G7 commits to stop Russian oil purchases. Those were our top major highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, took part this Monday morning in Abidjan, capital of Ivory Coast, alongside some 20 of his counterparts from Africa and other continents in the work of the Summit of Heads of State and Government of Members Countries of the United Nations Conventions to combat desertification and drought. The United Nations Convention to combat desertification and drought is a platform for dialogue, constitution, and integration for the countries of the world in order to find efficient responses to the problems posed by the phenomenon of desertification and shrinking arable land. It is also a space for reflection and exchange of expertise for its member countries, almost all the nations of the world, in terms of identifying integrated action plans and strategies to mitigate the drastic consequences, including ecosystem degradation and economic loss to earn for populations living on the land. The Summit of Heads of States and Government, which marks the opening of the work of this 15th session of the Convention of the Parties of the United Nations, has first of all considered the evolution and the state of progress of member countries in the relations of the constant of naturality of degradation. This has the value of absolute priority, assigning the partner states of the Convention to the objective of zero degradation of arable label by 2030. This cement then dedicated an important part of its work to the creation of cooperation and transfer of skills within the member countries of the Convention for the purpose of acquiring highly qualified human resources for the management and regulation of problems related to soil degradation and reduction of arable land. The agenda of this summit meeting, attended by the head of state of Djibouti, also included important discussions on the ways and means to access to the member countries of the Convention to the funding necessary to take charge of projects to fight against drought and restore fertile land. By main donors, it is necessary to understand not only the traditional structures such as the World Bank and the African Bet, but also think the set of mechanisms available of the global level, such as the Global Environment Facility, the Green Climate Fund, specialized in the financing of projects related to the fight against environmental degradation. Regarding this last subject, it was expressly agreed that this summit would result in an official resolution, the Abidjan Resolution, calling on the main global donors to provide financial support to member countries of the United Nations Convention to combat desertification and drought. It should also be noted that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gelle, is accompanied by a large delegation as part of his participation in the 15th International Conference of the Paris to the United Nations Conventions to combat desertification and drought, including the Minister of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock and Fisheries Resources, Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Awale, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, accompanied the head of state on this trip to Ivory Coast. Also noteworthy is the presence in the delegation led by the President Ismail Omar Gelle in Abidjan, the Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti and Ivory Coast, His Excellency Mr. Mohammed Burhan Ali. Moving on to the Ministry of Trade and Tourism of Djibouti, which organized today a validation workshop of the national strategy for the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Co-chaired by the Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Mohamed Warsamadere, and the representative of the United Nations System in Djibouti, Jose Barahona. This meeting is an opportunity to present the national strategy for the implementation of the FTAA developed by the Ministry of Trade and Tourism with the support of the Economic Commission for Africa and the European Union. This strategy analyzes Djibouti's cooperative advantages to better promote the diversification of its economy and the development of value chains. It aims to enable the country to better seize the opportunities offered by the FTAA and to bring a new dynamism to the economic integration of the Republic of Djibouti. In Intra-Africa Trade, the Director of Foreign Trade and Regional Integration, Mr. Hassan Aden Shahim, made a presentation on the implementation process of the FTAA in Djibouti, funded by the European Union, and sought the participation of representatives of public agencies, national and international expertise, and representatives of the private sector and civil society with the objective of validating the strategy. Jose, the new coordinator of the United Nations System, resident in Djibouti, was pleased to have participated in this national workshop for the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area. The Minister of Trade and Tourism, Mr. Mohamed Warsamadiri, for his part, recalled the will expressed by the President of the Republic through our accession to the FTAA comes at a crucial time marked by socio-economic setbacks that our countries are experiencing due to the pandemic of COVID-19, but also the ongoing financial, economic, and food shocks. Within the framework of the program or to strengthen resilience to food and nutrition insecurity in the Horn of Africa, the Ministry of Agriculture, Water, Fisheries, Livestock and Fisheries Resources in collaboration with the African Development Bank officially launched the project on Monday, May 9th in the presence of Her Excellency His Excellency the Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock in charge of fisheries resources. The project amounting to a 13.93 million, about 3.5 billion francs, and funded by the African Development Fund and implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock and Fisheries Resources. The objective of the program is to strengthen resilience in the face of food and nutritional insecurity, thereby improving the living conditions of women, youth, and the general population. The specific objective of BRIFONS is to build resilience to food insecurity and climate change by enabling participating countries to improve productivity and production systems in cross-border areas of the IGAD region, make agro-pastoral value chains more competitive in order to boost trade and income. The Ministry of Agriculture, through its program, has favored an approach based on the integrated management and development of watersheds by strengthening the infrastructure for mobilizing and securing water, developing livestock and oasis agriculture, and fishing as an alternative to integrating populations affected by drought. To this end, the government has chosen to develop the following watersheds in Tajorra, Ali Sebeh, Dekheb region, and Arta region, and also in Djibouti peripheral area, as well as fishing actions in Obokh and Luada. At the end of the launch of the program to strengthen resilience to food and nutrition insecurity in the Horn of Africa, the deputy coordinator of the project made a short presentation of this program. The objective is to strengthen resilience to food insecurity in the area of intervention of the project in the Horn of Africa. The program will improve the living conditions of women, youth, and the general population. The expected changes are to allow for increased resilience of production systems, increased incomes of agro-pastoral values capacity of the population, to change the risk associated with climate change. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Agriculture, Ibrahim Elmi, said he was very pleased with the launch of this program, which is long awaited by our country and more generally in the region, which are affected by recurrent and violent droughts. A welcoming ceremony for the new members of the Constitutional Council was held this morning, as well as a transfer of powers between the former President Honorable Abdi Ibrahim Absi and the new President Abdi Ismail Hirsi. In accordance with the provisions of Article 1 and 2 of the Organic Law of April 17, 1993, laying down the rules of organization and function of the Constitutional Council, the members are appointed by presidential decree, which was held yesterday morning, upon nomination by the letter on the proposal of the President of the Assembly and the Supreme Council of the Magistracy for a single term of 8 years with a renewal by half every 4 years. The President of the Council is appointed by the President of the Republic. From among its members, the new President, Mr. Abdi Ismail Hirsi, who has just been installed yesterday morning, in a great clerk of the state, a career magistrate. He held the position of Secretary General at the Ministry of Justice in charge of human rights, and he was elected President of the INEC during the 2013 legislative elections and the 2016 presidential elections. Furthermore, he was elected by the Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the Member of the State of the African Union as a member of the African Union Commission on International Law and served for 4 years as Vice Chairman of the same commission. The Kempinski Palace served this morning as an auditorium for a workshop on the roadmap for the reform and legal and institutional framework of public procurement. This workshop, chaired by the Secretary General of the government, Mr. Alamis Mohammed Abdullah, and the head of the procurement division of the Middle East and North Africa at the World Bank. Framework of the World Bank has brought together the various executives of the administration. With the support of the World Bank, this workshop discussed the roadmap exchange on the issue of the implementation of the electronic portal of public procurement, but also to support the implementation units of projects in procurement. This day was an opportunity to paint a picture, but also to exchange on the current statute and among options and recommendations established the roadmap. In a broad perspective, this initiative to reform the institutional and legal framework of the roadmap is part of the vast program that the government has to the mechanism of public building a healthy economy in order to make transparency a rule and culture among citizens. It is a strategic tool with several issues: political through the reduction and dynamics, and finally social by supporting employment and the fight against unemployment. The Secretary General of the government, Mr. Almas Mohammed Abdullah, indicated in his speech that this workshop aims to consult and discuss the roadmap for the project to reform the legal institutional framework for public markets. The youth of the Arhiba district, under the direction of local elected officials, members of the district council, and the coordination of activists and supporters of the UMP, have launched a door-to-door awareness campaign with a view to mobilizing the population and encouraging the greater number to register to vote. This initiative comes from community leaders of Arhiba and a part of the active taken following the work of the last Council of Ministers in date, which marked the opening of voter registration for the next legislative elections. of State, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Gale, and the Directors Office Chairman, the Union for the Presidential Majority, Prime Minister Abdullah Kamil Mohammed. These door-to-door actions will continue in their neighborhoods of the commune of Bil'os, in the neighborhoods of the commune of Ras Dikha, in the neighborhoods of the large commune of Balbala, and in the interior regions where the dynamic and committed youth ready to take up the challenge and issue of the upcoming parliamentary elections, which is to encourage the population to register massively onto electoral rolls for the next register of 2023. These elections will be particularly important insofar as they will allow the President of the Republic to have a majority in the National Assembly in order to implement his presidential program for 2021. The National Council of the Order of Physicians of Djibouti has organized this weekend a training on oral surgery was at the Axias Hotel. Oral and maxillofacial surgery is a specialty of dentistry that is internationally recognized. It is concerned with the diagnosis and treatment of the diseases and injuries and abnormalities of the face, mouth, teeth, and jaws. This training, provided by Dr. Ahmed Shura of Moroccan origin, has allowed a score of dentists from the public service of the CNSS, of the National Police Force, of the Armed Forces, of the Coast Guard, to benefit from the expertise of Professor and Dr. Ahmed Shura, who rejoined in the organization of this oral surgery. The mayor of Djibouti, accompanied by the president of the commune of Bil'os, as well as the elected officials from this commune and the heads of districts, have, in this first tour in the premises of the commune, realized a contact with the administration of the antennas of the commune. During this meeting with the staff of its antennas, the mayor of the city was able to inquire about the personal tasks of the administration of the commune of Bil'os and to make an inventory of the premises, thus the staff offices at the proximity work, such as the civil statute and the customary court. The mayor also visited the administrative of the commune of Bil'os, located in the first court of the staff statue. The president of the court, Mr. Ibrahim Farah Adawi, welcomed the mayor. Then the latter was able to talk within the staff of the administrative, and which manages the registration of marriages, divorces, civil statute. The mayor of the city went to the second district, which houses the headquarters of the commune of Bil'os. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, the entire G7 committed today ban or phase out the Russian oil imports. The White House announced yesterday in a statement the decision will deal a severe blow to the main artery irrigating the economy of Vladimir Putin and deprive him of the revenue he needs to finance his war against Ukraine, said the U.S. executive. By this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you once again.